Now, there's a lot of meta text in Breaking Bad. But like I said before, just to kind of provide some through line to it, I'm going to begin by talking about specific objects. My favorite objects from the show. Now, this is a poor substitute. This is actually one of my Pepe's fucking London fog, fucking pimp hats. Again, coated in fucking just straight tar and nicotine. All sorts of fucking dope and crack and shit. But yeah. Now, it's interesting because this became so iconic. And in many ways, a lot of the people who like Breaking Bad don't like it for the right reasons. They think that Walter White's a hero. Like, they'll watch it strictly for the, oh, he blew up Tuco's lab. And that's the point of the show. It's their white masculine fantasies, So, this image is bad. And you actually only see, like, this complete image, I believe, once. The whole show. Like, right after he kind of, blows up that shit. And I think he's meeting up with fucking Badger and Skinny P, and he fucking puts the shit on, and they're laughing at him. They think it's a joke. They think it's too silly and absurd. And Badger and Skinny P, as the show progresses, similar to Huel and Cuddy, they're Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. They're Abbott and Costello. They're the gravediggers. They're supposed to be the comical foils. But again, they're the fools. So, the hat. This little black pork pie hat. Why does Walter gravitate toward that? I mean, whatever. The show gravitates towards it because it's the Western trope. Again, Breaking Bad is a neo-Western. Influenced by a lot of film noir stylistically, but the mythology is a Western. It's a neo-Western. I'm going to get into that a little bit more. So he has this hat, and again, much like the heroes and villains, the sheriffs, there's this, and this goes back to just the patriarchy. Hats aren't really, and they're coming back in style, but, most people think of baseball caps. But hats used to be a symbol of masculine authority. I mean, they still are. Police officers don't wear them as often, but, the state troopers, look at it, it's fucking silly as shit. They look like fucking the Rockies, dude. It looks like fucking Bullwinkle, that kind of shit. It's goofy. But it used to be serious. The pulp hats. So silly as shit. But no. The bigger, the more phallic, the more authority, the more you let people know I am the phallus of this patriarchy. I am the ruler. Here I come. I'm a dick. Why do you think he cuts? Why do you think he shaves his hair? Oh, isn't it because he has cancer? He would have just went a little bald. Remember at the end when he grows his hair back out and he has the cancer then? No. It's symbolic. It's the big fucking daddy. So anyhow, back to the fucking pork pie hat. It doesn't show up that often in the series. I'm going to probably get it wrong because it's been a while since I've rewatched it. But the only time it's ever actually taken seriously, because again, it pops up in end of this first season, then in the beginning of the first season, where it's, kind of just replaying it, then meeting up with Tuco. He puts the hat on there. But then, like, after he sees the full extent of what he's dealing with, with fucking Tio and Tuco in the desert, he's like, holy fucking shit, maybe I'm not a fucking cowboy. So sort of puts it away for a bit. Maybe in the background. But I don't think he ever really puts it on again until, like, the third season. Last episode. Full Measure. When he's meeting with Gus in the desert after he, runs those dudes over. Run. And he puts the hat on. And that's the only time the hat's ever serious. That's the only time. And that shot is brilliant. That's full fucking Western. That is like, that's fucking, that's amazing. Like, it's Western. While it's going out there for the showdown. Fucking shootout in Chinatown, And the hat's serious then. But then it's just fucking not. And he doesn't put it on. He has it in the car with him. I think one of his foolish plans to show up at Gus's house to kill him. He doesn't fucking, he tries, I think, to put it on. He puts it on. And then But then it's like, holy shit, now I can't do this, puts it off. They didn't really put it on again. He messes with one of its loose threads, very symbolically, I believe, in the 5th season after they start working with Todd. Right before, really his final point of no return. And remember, that train robbery, that's a classic Western. That's such a classic Western. It's so fucking metatext that, remember the truck driver who almost thwarts the whole thing, Remember, he was a Native American. He was a coded Native American. Remember when Walter White is out in the desert in Ozymandias, who does he find out there but a Native American? Because again, Breaking Bad is a Western. A lot of people think that it's in some ways it is. It's not an affirmation of white supremacy. Walter White is the cowboy. Walter White is the savage. And even all those gangbangers, the fact that he goes up against the cartels, the fact that even Gus is, an other. Gus is Mexican. He's Chilean. He's a transplant to a transplant. The Cowboys versus Indians. That's why Walter White has the fucking hat. And that's why, like before he But the West can't be tamed. Albuquerque cannot be fucking tamed. The savage is everywhere. And Walter White is the real cancer. Like we've established about the Chris Kenny thing. So that's what, long story short, that's what the hat stands for. Broke Bad, Part 1. I am awake. First season isn't that good. How could it have been? It's not complete. 7 episodes. Pilot, I'm going to try to do this from memory. Pilot, Cats in the Bag, Bags in the River, Cancer Man, Gray Matter, Crazy Fistful of Nothing, No Rough Stuff type deal. 7 episodes, 7 seals. Nah. There was a writer's strike at that. Breaking Bad itself arose out of economic despair, which is, again, why the main villain is capitalism. This was right near the 2007-2008 economic recession, the housing crisis. You remember that? Seems like a lot of us don't remember that based on what we're going toward this year, with an even worse crash on the horizon. But that's not the point. Oh wait, it is the point. So Breaking Bad came out because, Vince Gilligan, very talented writer, very talented director. He got his feet wet in the X-Files. That's pretty much the origin point of X-Files, is I forget the name of the episode, but Runaway. There's Drive. There's an episode of the X-Files. It's one of those bottle episodes that shows do, where it's just kind of a single setting, few characters. Ideally it's for them to save money for the finale, but many creators, like Vince Gilligan, like he did with Fly, will use it to actually make very powerful, provocative, minimalistic episodes that in many ways are just the essence of what cinema is, what theater is, what good television is. It's just the human experience. It's the platonic dialogue, Sometimes it's Abbott and Costello. Sometimes it's the people waiting for Godot. Sometimes it becomes actually very, very important. Even if it's absurd, those connections. So yeah, Bryan Cranston is it's this speed kind of thing, and Bryan Cranston is a fucking Nazi. Bryan Cranston's a fucking Nazi, and he's got this thing in his head where if he goes below 60 miles per hour, his head will explode, so he's got Mulder kind of kidnapped. But then, you develop sympathy. They're just talking, but as they're talking, the Bryan Cranston characters, it's fucking abusive. It's American History X in a nutshell, kind of. And Vince Gilligan knew from there, oh, well, of course, that was always going to be Walter White. One of the great performances of any medium. And Cranston can't ever really recapture that. He's been in some bad fucking shit since then, but that. And Hal. Malcolm in the Middle. This man has been in television, has had the best comedic performance, arguably, and the best dramatic performance. Bryan Cranston's a fucking national treasure. He really should he's a national treasure. But that is the point. So, X-Files ended though. And here's the thing, with TV shows, especially if you're a good writer who wants to have integrity, it's hard to get work. It's real hard to get work. You gotta get lucky. In the best of times. And they weren't the best of times after fucking X-Files sort of wrapped up, and Gilligan was kind of just trying to write movies and shit, but Oh, golly gee, he's too nice. So he didn't have work. So him and was the co-creator, co-writer in the beginning, Thomas Schnaz, they were making a joke, and Vince is like, well, can't find work, so I guess we gotta just get an RV and start making some meth. Boom, Breaking Bad. AMC didn't want the show to be the show. And this is fucking, they did The Shield, they did a lot of them. The second favorite show, maybe my third. The Wire is up there. But The Shield is fucking amazing too. So AMC took chances, but they weren't, initially, this show initially wasn't going to be, came this close to not being. AMC was like, huh? What? You know, it was pretty much on the back of Cranston. And they were like, okay, we'll give this a shot. But they didn't, they were like, this is bleak. Right, that is bleak. But the thing that you need to remember is that Vince Gilligan is a moral man. You know, he has a quote where he's like, well, I don't know if I believe in heaven, but I can't believe in a world where there isn't a hell. And like, look at this show. There's a fucking Christian fucking allegory. I mean, yeah, it's bleak and there's a little nihilism, but again, Jesse is Jesus. There's God. The eye of God is there all the time. The devil is there all the time. The show is a Christian parable. It's a Christian parable, Western, neo-Marxist, film noir, psychodrama, like existential morality tale. In a nutshell. That's why Breaking Bad's so fucking good. It's Shakespeare. It's Shakespeare. It's better than Shakespeare. It's 5 seasons, 5 acts. It's structured exactly like the 5-act thing. You know, Point of No Return, Scale's death, falling action, the denouement. It's immaculate. And they didn't even really want it to be that way. They just fucking figured it out as they were going along, you know. And they knew when to end it. Unlike shows like The Sopranos, fucking Mad Men. Fucking one could argue even The Shield. Dexter should have just been fucking 2-3 fucking seasons and fucking called it quits. You know, most shows fucking, they did none of Game of Thrones, which I haven't seen, but, you know, shows don't know when to end. Breaking Bad did, and that's why it's the greatest show ever made. Because it had that structure, and they were just winging it. You know, as I'll get into more and more. But yeah, the first season did happen. But it was supposed to be longer. It was supposed to end with Jesse and Hank dying, which would have made it fundamentally a far inferior show. It was going to initially be the 13 episodes, and it was going to end with, like, even I think what we ended up seeing happened with Jack, pretty much, except it would have been with Tuco, or something. It would have been bad. Jesse would have died. And again, Jesse's the main protagonist of the series, like him and Walt, the father's side, it's a story of fathers and sons at the end. It would have been, the show would not have been amazing. But by the grace of the writer's strike, the show was only 7 episodes, which again is why the first season is sort of weaker. It's weaker for many reasons. It's weaker because they intentionally picked a different cinematographer. The cinematographer from seasons 2 through 5 is Michael Slavas, who is up there with Roger Deakins, up there with Manuel Lubusky, whoever does the work for Inarito, like Alfonso Cuarón, like one of the great cinematographers is Michael Slavas. He directed a couple Breaking Bad episodes too, but he wasn't there for the first season. Vince Gilligan wanted the first season to intentionally be stylistically completely apart. You know, so they're just getting their feet wet. You know? And there's great episodes in there. There's amazing fucking moments. You know, Walter in that basement, connecting with Crazy 8, you know, strangling him. That's powerful shit. Jesse has a few powerful moments, but again, they were just getting their feet wet. And you know, it's alright. But who's the hero of Breaking Bad? At least in that season, who's the hero? It's Bogdan. It's Bogdan. Bogdan is a businessman, yeah. And again, the villain is capitalism. But as far as I know, Bogdan is the only one to just run a business, to actually run a car wash, to not sell that poison. And yeah, he looks fucking silly. But he's respectable, and he's an immigrant who built his way up. I hate to break it to you, but the first season, Bogdan's the hero. Next time.